Yeah.
I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Ville, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Ville with Inside HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. The team is back together again as we get into the week of the Celebration Bowl. It is officially on and popping. Literally, the game is a sellout. Wow. Welcome to episode 219 of Inside HBCU Sports Lab Radio Show and Podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports, from institutions large and small, from the NAIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Filming from our home studios and sending a signal live to KCOH 1230 AM studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency, LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting and education consulting and data analytics. And since I provide consultings, no, I am not giving you the 411 in terms of what's going down at Prairie View. I will not do it. Let me set the record straight, but you might get a hint today. Check out the show. You know, we do drop dimes here, there, and everywhere. With that being discussed, let's get into it. I did want to give an update. Got a call from John Grant earlier today. Cricket Wireless Celebration Bowl will be debuting Skycam technology for the first time for the bowl game history. It will join New Year's Six bowl games in the college football playoffs as the only bowl games using the Skycam technology. This means the removal of the curtains of the upper deck so they can use the wireless that controls, which is a computer-controlled, stabilized cable suspended camera system. The system maneuvers the three dimensionals in the opening space over a playing area of a stadium or arena by computer-controlled cable drive system. It is responsible for bringing video game-like camera angles to television, sports coverage. They play those Madden games. You're probably used to when it had the idea kind of came out there, but it's patented by Skycam System, which is a virtual and flying Steadicam, a broadcast quality robotic camera suspended from a cable drive computerized transport system. The NFL also uses this technology for its viewers to enjoy their games from unprecedented angles. Before I even ask you, what are your thoughts on that? Let me first check back in here and say, Mike, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing good, Doc. CB, what's going on, fellas?
What's going on, bro, Mike?
My brothers.
Let's get into it. I'm ready to hit the road. I'll be in Atlanta tomorrow. I think Charles, you laying in a little later tomorrow, so I'll have everything ready for you when you get there. No problem. I'll have it.
No doubt.
And Mike, you come in later the week, so we'll make sure both of us will have plenty of scouting details that we can give you in terms of what's going on in Atlanta.
Yeah, we're gonna make up for some lost time and as we do our homework. I'm just saying.
No doubt about it. Before we get in trouble, let's get back in here to Skycam technology. Mike, what are your thoughts about this Skycam announcement today that we join in the New Year's Six bowl games in the college football playoffs for the HBCU Cricket Wireless Celebration Bowl with the champions of the SWAC, champions of the MEAC, get down on Skycam.
Man, translation with all you read, we getting fancy now. That sums it off. We getting fancy. Yeah. So
I like it.
That's all you can say. You can drop the mic. We got Skycams, robotic operated. This is the stuff you see on NFL, Sunday Night Football, the stuff you see on Monday Night Football. I mean, we might get some close up. I think I'm gonna have to sneak down on the sideline so I can, sport myself and be seen. I won't be wearing a JSU gear, just for the
Mike,
record.
I know it, Mike. Don't do that to us. Don't do that to us. I know you come out of the chemical engineering side of the house, particularly at Prairie View, but some of those mechanical engineers, namely myself, Alan Williams, Edwin Drayden, Joseph Clay, some of those mechanical engineers, I need to ask them about this breakdown, some of the SkyCam. But let me go over to Charles and see his thoughts on SkyCam technology. Big time.
Yeah. Welcome to the big time. Like you said, I bet when we take a look at SkyCam, we always associate it with the NFL and, of course, those New Year's Day Power 5 games. I mean, this is what it's about. This is so important for the culture that you get all the elements going. You get this game that's a sellout. You get the SkyCam. You get this huge build-up going in. Just looking forward to getting to Atlanta and really participating and celebrating the Celebration Bowl. Jackson State, South Carolina State. Both fan bases are lathered up. It's no work getting done in Jackson this week, so you might as well just go on ahead and head on over to Atlanta.
No doubt about it.
Say mail gonna stop.
Mail gonna stop.
That's for real, because I tried to get something mailed to me and they like, we'll talk to you next week. Like, what? Oh boy, so Charles not kidding when he talks about this gonna stop everything. But with that being said, let me get in here in terms of Charles. SkyCam, are you gonna be ready in case they zoom in to one of your interviews on the sideline? Or you gonna make sure you have make sure you get your good side now?
I gotta make sure I'm camera ready. Gotta make sure makeup's in place and all that good stuff.
Hey, Mike, can you imagine Charles getting off the Delta plane? You know, they sending both teams in terms of Atlanta on the Delta Airlines, as they have officially partnered with the Celebration Bowl. Can you see Charles getting off the plane with his sunglasses on?
No, yes, I can see him getting off. Not only, he probably might have
He gonna be talking about, welcome to Atlanta.
He gonna be in his best ludicrous voice. Yeah.
Oh,
He gonna go on ludicrous
boy,
on him. Welcome to Atlanta.
Yeah, man.
Oh, it's gonna get crazy. We'll be on Thursday. Don't forget it. We will be there. So make sure y'all show up. We're gonna give you all the insight we can. Then we're gonna give you a little radio roll. You can get up with us Friday morning. We're gonna get you some more insight information. We'll have some interviews with some of the those directly responsible with the game, and even some interviews possibly with the commissioners and things of that nature. Then that afternoon, we'll see if we can get you some insights for some of the players. So we're going to take you all in about behind the scenes in terms of inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you check out my JBN, my BCSN, download the app, because they're going to have the pregame show, bringing you inside. They're already dropping information from the SWAC championship game. So you know they're going to get you some inside information that you can't get unless you're in Atlanta. And even in you're in Atlanta, you're not going to get some of the things they're going to show you. So make sure you check that out. ONG, all the different shows, Sports Rap on BCSN, we will give you some information that you can't get anywhere else. With
Doc,
that,
will you,
let me go
Doc,
back to
I'm
you,
sorry.
Charles. What's some
Doc,
other news you want?
I'm sorry. Will you tell Kay Johnson to leave me alone? I am not wearing any JSU gear. I'm gonna come there in purple and gold. Leave me alone.
Yeah, you got to be careful with Mike. Mike, he get too excited, he might get some of the purple gold draws he got going on there. Charles, what you got? What other news out there?
Let's start off Deion Sanders. Today, he wins the Eddie Robinson Award. He was named the 2021 recipient of the Eddie Robinson Award given to the top coach in the football championship subdivision. Sanders will be honored at the FCS National Awards banquet on January 7th in Frisco, Texas. He was one of 17 finalists, which is named for the legendary Grambling State coach Eddie Robinson, celebrating his 35th anniversary season. So congratulations, Coach Prime, picking up some more hardware. Cody, Coach of the Year.
No doubt about it. We got you, Charles. I see you, man. He's showing out. First, it was Shador with his Player of the Year, FCS Player of the Year, named Jerry Rice. That's big time. And now you have Coach Prime getting it done. That's big time. Mike, what you got?
Well, I just want to start off simple. You started off by saying that the game is sold out, but I don't think people got an appreciation for what that means. I mean, what is it? 43,000 tickets sold out. They are going to open up the dome for 1,000 more tickets. If you hadn't seen all of the clippings, and those will probably go like hotcakes. So that just lets you know the magnitude of this game and its impacts on Atlanta. So 1,000 more tickets go on sale tomorrow. You don't know if they're 8 a.m. or 12 p.m. or what time. Maybe you guys have more insight, but I think that is huge news. They're not opening, I guess, the upper row, or maybe they'll open some portions, but the fact that they've sold out this dome previous says a lot. Says monuments of things about what the SWAC is meaning to Atlanta and where the SWAC is going, and it has come to this point. So huge, sold out a week in advance.
I like that. Great points when you talk about selling out. What does that really mean for the game? Big time. I mean, they only have standing room only seats that they're even going to be seeking to sell. That's big time in terms of that. Everything around this game right now is at a fevered pitch, and I think it's going to live up to it in terms of big time exciting plays. If you go to Celebration Bowl on Instagram, they have the top 10 moments. They're up to number 6, and boy, it gets you lathered up real excited about this game. Before we go to this break, I did want to talk about Morgan State's Riley Bozier announced his retirement from coaching. Longtime volleyball coach that sets records over 34 years. Ramona has gotten it done, getting to the NCAA tournament with the Bears, MEAC titles in 98, 2000. She also was MEAC North Division. At one point, had won 88 consecutive MEAC North Division matches between 1994, 2003. So just incredible career in terms of what she's able to get done. So I want to give a shout out to none other than Morgan State's Riley Bozier, Coach Riley Bozier, Ramona Riley Bozier getting it done. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this quick break. This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break into quarter 2.
Neely so foolish.
Let's get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts on COVID-19 vaccines. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your fam.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Support the Black College Sports Network so we can continue to provide you coverage. Go to myjbn.com/support and be a part of the Black College Sports
Tell everybody
Network.
they can follow their dreams.
It's like a loot machine. All around town, people trying to get down.
This is Dr. Ville inside the HBCU Sports Lab with none other than Coach Black. Coach KJ, as we know him in these parts, Kenneth Black. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here, man. Excited to be here. Like I said, I love the purple in this group here. We ain't gonna talk about the other colors that we see in here, but
I appreciate it, Coach Black.
The orange. You know, the orange and green is doing well right now.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
We ain't gonna talk about that other guy over there.
You know what, Coach?
I know, Coach.
You know what, Coach Black? Your interview is over. Great and thank you. Awesome. The best interview we've had this year.
So
Oh,
we
man.
have Coach KJ Black, offensive coordinator and quarterback coach at Florida A&M University. Coach, for those that are not familiar with your background, please go ahead and share a little bit. Make sure you include the 2009 championship that you won as the quarterback for the Prairie View A&M Panthers.
Yeah, so originally from Louisville, Kentucky, played high school ball there, got a full ride to Western Kentucky University to play quarterback there when Willie Taggart was offensive coordinator, played there for 3 years, then had a decision to make and got a phone call from a man named Henry Frazier that changed my life forever, brought me down to Houston, Texas, where I was a part of that 2009 team that won the first SWAC championship and Black College National Championship for the first time in over 40 years, brought it back to Prairie View. Then got an opportunity to go and try my luck professionally in arena ball. Didn't go as well as I wanted to. So Coach Heisman Northern brought me back to GA for him. And, I got a chance to spend almost 10 years on the Hill there at Prairie View A&M. Willie Simmons gave me my first job in 2015 as a quarterback coach, which is another story, which how that happened is a true blessing and got that opportunity. Then we spent 3 years together there before he left to come to Florida A&M. I stayed behind and, things worked out to where I could come the year following that in 2019 and been with Coach Simmons here in Florida A&M and doing well here in Tallahassee since we've been together. So, here we are and feels like it's going pretty fast. Been coaching for about 8 to 9 years now, and it doesn't even feel like it. I feel like I just got started. So, been blessed and excited, and very fortunate.
Well, we wanted to get into this matchup, Celebration Bowl. We wanted to get into some X's and O's, go into those rooms where you break down the film and really get into this matchup. FAMU obviously played both Jackson State and South Carolina State. One game was in Miami. The other one was a home contest. But before we get into the X's and O's and then matchup and give our viewers some inside strategies on things that they need to consider, really from a coach's perspective, I'd be remiss if I didn't allow Mike and then Charles to ask you a question before we take that deeper dive. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Doc. So, tremendous. All seriousness aside, thank you for coming on the show, Coach Black. One of the things that, I remember when you came to Prairie View, you transferred from Kentucky. I mean, you have over 4,000 yards, 35 touchdowns in just 2 years, and you came in under Coach Frazier. Now, he started saying, Prairie was on the up. He's like, this is not your mom and daddy's PV. And sure enough, we ended up winning the championship. So we changed that culture. So let's transform years back. Now you're at FAMU under the great Coach Simmons, tremendous coach. What parts of that culture have you taken and infused to this FAMU team? Because quarterback was a question going into the season, and look at how successful FAMU has been. So what parts of that culture have you infused into the offense?
I would say the first thing is just having faith in not only themselves, but the other guys around the team. Especially if we're just talking specifically about playing quarterback. We maybe get all the hoopla and the pats on the back, but it's not all about us. Football is a game where you can't win it by yourself. This isn't basketball. This isn't baseball. This takes all 11 guys, and if one guy is out of his gap, one guy doesn't make the block, if one guy doesn't make that catch, then nobody's getting any praise. So I think the first thing we had to realize, it's not about me, it's about we. And then also, too, the ability to come to work every day, no matter how bad the previous day was, we had to know, no matter what, I can't come and bring bad energy to the next day. And we harp on that a lot in the quarterback room, is trying to get better every day and not letting one bad day turn into two. Because you can get beat twice in back-to-back days if you allow it to. So we talk about our mentality going into every day, and we talk about making sure that we have faith not only in ourselves, but the other people around us, and it's done us pretty well.
Awesome. Thanks.
Charles, go ahead.
So let me ask you about where we are within this time and space. A lot of hires around HBCU football, some big name personalities coming to HBCU football. But from your perspective, you're one of the hotter name coaches that's out there. You, along with some others that are within HBCU football. But when you kind of take a look at this time and space, what are your thoughts with regards to your potential upward mobility? In terms of getting a look-see at some high-profile jobs?
It's funny that you asked that. I have some friends who are asking me a lot, is the big names that have come to the conference, is that going to affect you or anybody else that has, so to speak, paid their dues and is looking for an opportunity to be a head coach. So I think one thing. Sorry about that. I have a daughter that just walked in. One thing that
we understand that. No problem. Tell her we said
Totally understood.
hey, she's 3, man, so she got a mind of her own. You know, and my response to that is no. I'm excited about the names that have come to the conference because I think that's only going to help young guys like me get an opportunity, whether it be here in the SWAC or at another conference, whether it be FBS or FCS. So I don't look at it as a negative. I look at it as a positive, and also look at it as an opportunity to make a name for myself. Like you just said, we're talking about quarterbacks, so why not be you know, associated with an offense that maybe takes advantage of beating a high-profile name? Somebody, all they have to do is ask, well, who is this quarterback? Who coaches this quarterback that just did so-and-so to help them beat Eddie Robinson or help them beat Hugh Jackson? So it's an opportunity, and I'm glad that these men have decided to come and give HBCU the spotlight that we all know it truly deserves. And, you know, me and Willie talk about it all the time. There's no better time than right now to be associated with HBCUs or be a head coach in HBCU football right now. And I'm excited about where we're going and where we are currently. So, you know, HBCU football is only going to get better from here, and I'm excited about it.
Sure thing. Appreciate that, Coach.
Well said. Let's get into some of that mindset and inside the coach's mind. So as you prepare and based on what you saw with South Carolina State and Jackson State, right? What type of things, if you're South Carolina State, let's start with them first, going into this matchup from an offensive perspective, what are some things that you believe they need to try to seek to get done in this matchup, and why?
Well, if you're looking at South Carolina State offensively, you know, one thing that they've kind of struggled with is consistently being able to throw the ball. If you're familiar with South Carolina State, you know they have some talented guys on the outside. So if they can figure out a way to be more consistent with delivering the football out to those guys, because if I believe they're around 50 to 51% completion percentage on the year passing, which is not going to get it done versus a team as talented and as sharp, I guess you could say, on the back end as Jackson State is. So they've got to find a way to make passes because, believe me, coming from a quarterback, especially in this league, the game is won on third down. So eventually it's going to be third and long, it's going to be third and medium, and they're going to have to stand back there and make throws whether they want to or not. You know, and just knowing Jackson State defensively, they're very stout up front, great size at the defensive line. The linebackers are no slouches. I think they were both all-conference selections. So running the ball is not going to be easy. Not saying it can't be done, but it's going to be tough. And there's going to be times where the quarterback's going to have to make throws for South Carolina State to be successful.
Before we get into Jackson State, that gives me a follow-up question. Take us inside of a quarterback, or at least your mind, when you were playing the position, and as you're trying to teach other quarterbacks, what do you look for on a third down? Since you brought that up and it being so critical, Charles talks about that. Mike talks about looking at the third down conversion rate, data points of teams that are successful or defenses that are able to make moves. Take us in the mind of a coach and, you know, a quarterback at your level that has been able to play in the SWAC, win a championship, come back with the winning season, even on a leg at that time, you know, when things are not going right. What are you specifically, when you go to the line and it's third down, what things are you asking your quarterback to look at?
Well, it's funny you say that because as I'm sitting here thinking about it, within this 40-second play clock that we have, there's a lot that the quarterback has to process. And I was actually putting together a PowerPoint about that because I have something I have to talk about in a few months regarding quarterback play. But the very first thing you want to talk about is situation. I need to know where the sticks are. I need to know the time in the game, the quarter, all that matters as far as my approach to the third down, the current down. Then we always talk about in our room, the first thing you got to see is the front, okay? Because sometimes fronts will dictate blitzes. They may dictate coverages. It's all tied in. So I've got to see the front because I could have to check a protection based on what the front is and make sure that I'm protected before I can even attempt to drop back and throw the football. Then we talk about coverages on the back end. What's the shell of the defense or the roof like we talk about in our room, okay? What's the roof look like? And so we'll try to see alignments, depth, body language. All that stuff is important in trying to decipher what the defense may try to do to you so that you can probably have an idea pre-snap of where the ball may go. And then we always have blitz indicators as I'm going through my cadence, you know, what may be coming that I need to be alert for, whether I need to tell my running back to pick something up or slide a protection. I've got to have a thought process every time I attack the line of scrimmage. So those are just basic things that we talk about in our room to make sure that third down, we can be as efficient as we possibly can. Because like I just mentioned, third down is the money down. The game's about moving the chains. So if you can't move the chains, you're not going to be very successful.
Man, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
That's good stuff. Yeah.
Science of football.
Man, you can drop Mike on that one.
Right. It took
Hey,
me a pause,
you
'cause
said
I
go
wanted
through it now.
everybody to let that sink in a little bit.
You said go through the quarterback mind. Now we can talk about that all day.
I love it. So let's go to the other side of the ball, and then I'm gonna let Charles jump in here with another question, particularly from a Jackson State perspective. You have Shedeur Sanders, the freshman, that has shown you that one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Obviously, with freshman of the year, just named FCS freshman quarterback in terms of Jerry Rice, player of the year. First time a freshman has gotten it over the first 10 years of that award. Obviously, we all know about Jerry Rice and what he stands in terms of SWAC and HBCU football. It's been, 12-some games, first week. When you now think about and have a chance to go back and look at that and what you've seen, maybe clips here and there, how are you considering how Jackson State may look at the defensive side approach of South Carolina State in this matchup?
Well, first I'll just say this: congratulations to Shedeur and Coach Prime. Number one, for winning those awards, which are awesome in their own right, but also continuing to talk about and bring attention to HBCU football and showing that we have players too, and we have great coaching as well. So congratulations to them on that. Shedeur, in my mind, has grown exponentially this year. The very first game that we played him in Miami, and if you go back and you watch it, there are a bunch of easy throws that were created by their offensive coordinator at the time to make sure that he settled in and didn't try to do too much. And they didn't want to put too much on him. But now as you get through games 7, 8, 9, and 10, you can see him dropping back and going through progressions and trying to make sure that he's making more throws down the field and tougher throws specifically than he was trying to make in the first game. So you can see his growth. You can see him becoming a good player in this league for a long time. And I think South Carolina State, they do present a little bit of a challenge. I think the strength of their defense is on the back end. They have some great players at the linebacker level in their corner. Mr. Durant is an awesome player. We had to deal with him ourselves. So they will be up for the challenge when it comes to pass defense. But if they can get any pressure on Shedeur and get him off his spot, I think that gives them the best chance to win or at least be in the game in the fourth quarter. So if they just have to find a way to create pressure, make Shedeur move. We all know he's a pocket guy, so make him move, make him make throws off of his launching pad, and that can only help South Carolina State's chances.
Thank you. Charles, go ahead.
One of the stats that jumped out for me, Coach Black, is South Carolina State is a young offensive line. They've only given up 17 sacks thus on the season, but 6 of those sacks came against Florida A&M. What is it that you guys were able to do to get to Corey Fields? Because he's a quarterback that can get away from you. He's can hurt you with his legs as well. But are you guys able to stack him 6 times? Isaiah Lamb was able to get to him 5 times. But what is it that you guys kind of did in that game that where you were able to get home to Corey Fields?
To be honest with you, I think we did a great job of creating one-on-one matchups for Isaiah. And again, we didn't have to necessarily send 6 guys to do it. If we can get those offensive linemen on an island, we like our chances not only with Isaiah, but the rest of those guys that we had on the defensive front. And if I'm Jackson State, I'm thinking the same thing. Get James Houston isolated. One-on-one, eventually he'll get there and make Corey Fields have to move off of his spot. Now, Corey is a little more athletic, so he may be able to scramble and get your first down here or there. But any quarterback that has to move now has more things to think about than just sitting back there on his launch pad and being able to go through his progression like it's 7-on-7. So anytime I can make him uncomfortable, again, that's only going to lead to more inaccuracy. So I foresee Jackson State doing that exactly as far as just trying to make the game one-on-one up front and hoping that their guys can be better than South Carolina State's offensive linemen.
Sure thing.
Mike, did you want one additional follow-up question?
Yeah. Your analysis of both sides of the game is really good. But I would like to ask you, if you will, about that third dimension. And I think I know the answer, but please assess capabilities on the special teams. We know what JSU is capable of. We saw that in the SWAC championship game. But please, where does South Carolina State and what do they need to do?
If it were me and I were in that South Carolina State coaching staff, I would find every way possible to avoid kicking the ball to Jackson State's returners. I don't care if the ball has to go out of bounds on kickoff, on punt. Listen, listen to me now. Listen to me. You can lose football games in the special teams, and again, something I took from Coach Simmons.
Championship game, maybe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. something I've taken from Coach Simmons is, routes and upsets usually occur in the kicking game. Meaning you can a route can happen really fast with a punt return or a kick return, or it could happen with a block punt. Okay, you got to be sound and not give people a chance, okay, to make big plays, especially when they show you they're capable of doing it multiple times in a game. So again, the strength of Jackson State is kicking that ball to Isaiah Bolden, or if Warren Newman is back there kicking the ball to them, try to avoid that at all costs. There may be opportunities, where we just have to. There may be times where you have to, but if I can avoid it, I know it's hey, I can just kick this ball out of bounds and make them drive the field. Do that as often as you can. Just my opinion. I wouldn't try them at all, and make them drive the field rather than getting a short field for a offensive score.
But that's why we have your Coach Black is to put your framework on it, your stamp on it.
Yeah.
And I know you can't get into recruiting in terms of specific players, but in terms of this year and where you seeing the SWAC going, recently being in the MEAC, obviously starting in the SWAC, coming back to the SWAC, the defensive presence, obviously it was pretty obvious for Jackson State, what they did on the front seven. What FAMU was able to do front seven. Valley, I'm not sure people have given them credit what they've done on the defensive side. I would even say the back four in some ways that people may not really realize. Prairie View, in terms of what they were able to do on the defensive side of the ball and get that pressure. From a recruiting perspective, do you see changes in that? Do you see more of that? If you were given opportunity recruiting from the head position, how much interest at this time and place is that important in terms of you seeing the direction of SWAC or maybe even HBCU, FCS football going right now?
I think, again, bringing it back to what we talked about earlier, the spotlight on HBCUs right now is so positive. We're getting, not only do we have to go out and recruit these young men that are in the portal, but some of them are recruiting us. 3 and 4-star young men are calling us at FAMU saying, "Hey, Coach, I'm interested. Do you guys need a receiver? Hey, Coach, do you guys need an offensive lineman?" So I don't recall that happening 3 or 4 years ago. Not at this talent level. Now, of course, we get emails and DMs and all that stuff, but not from guys who have offers at the G5 level or at the FCS level already. And hey, they just want to see if we have an opening because they're interested. Whether that young man be from the state of Florida or any of the neighboring states. It's fascinating to just, be sitting there in your office and you get a call from, a 3-star kid who has an ability and probably will impact your team the next year. I don't have to go chase him. He's coming to me. So I think right now recruiting is at an all-time, not an all-time, but maybe a high for the first time in a long time. And I hope it continues. And I hope that we can continue to put out a great product that will allure, outside entities to take a look at HBCU football.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, this is the time as we move in there that any question we didn't ask you, anything that you want to say in terms of those out there listening that we didn't get a chance to ask you directly. Any thoughts that you want to share?
I think, especially when it comes to Jackson State, I just want to say how awesome of a team that Coach Prime put together. That is a talented football team. Me being a young guy, I'm a social media guy, so I see all the hoopla and people going back and forth. But what you got to do is respect the product on the field. And they are a well-coached football team that is very talented, and has challenged everybody to raise the bar, whether it be recruiting, coaching, alumni support, everything is now on alert because of what Coach Prime and Jackson State has done. So I commend him for that, and I'm glad he came and has raised the bar because he's only challenged me, he's challenged the rest of these universities to come with it. Come with it with supporting your alma maters, come with it with supporting your student athletes because the game is changing, and we're no longer an afterthought at the FCS level. We have the talent. We showed that in the playoff game that it wasn't a talent issue. We just had a few miscues, but talent is no longer the issue when it comes to the SWAC or the MEAC. So we're only going to be better, and I'm glad that he's here, and I'm glad that Coach Jackson at Grambling State has decided. Coach Eddie Robinson at Alabama State, they have decided to come and add to what Coach Prime has started, and we're still looking to be the top dog here at FAMU, but I'm excited about where we're headed as a HBCU community.
I like it. Let me sneak one more in there, Coach. What was your first thought process when you heard the news, wherever it was or whatever, that FAMU was joining the SWAC. I know you may have heard back noise and you had all that.
You want my honest answer? You want my honest answer?
Yeah, I want to know.
Say, man, I got to go back home and hand him this L, man. I don't want to have to go back home and do that, but I'm in Orange right now.
Yeah, I got
seriously, that was my first thought. Man, I get to go back to Houston and
hand him this L.
show him that I can still coach the quarterbacks a little bit. So that's what I was thinking about.
I love it. That's how you supposed to be. That's about business, baby. Let's go with that, man. We really appreciate your time.
It ain't personal. It ain't personal. It's
I got you.
No, it ain't personal.
No, it ain't personal, and it ain't business. It's family.
I love it.
Man, I appreciate you carving out this time. I know it's busy. You're in the recruiting trail, so the fact that you were able to get out of here, make sure you send our respect and thank you to Coach Willie Simmons. He's a part of the family, and the fact that he's open and allowing these opportunities means a lot to us. So make sure you tell him we say thanks. Now continue the great work. We want to continue to see you grow, and we look forward to the great things that you have in front of you.
I got a problem. Tell Coach Simmons. He's been promising me a visor since he was coaching at Prairie View. He promised me one when he moved to FAMU. I ain't seen a visor. I ain't seen a wristband. I ain't seen nothing.
KJ Black, man, we got the stuff back here, man. When you get a chance, you dig in the trash. Send us some gear, man. We're representing.
What you need,
Yeah.
Mike? What you need?
I want a visor. I want a visor. A golf
What color
visor.
you want, Mike? What color?
Tan.
Tan.
I don't want no damn orange one.
So now it's not I want a visor. Now it's I want a tan visor.
Hey,
look, I got access to visors now. You talking about tan?
Okay, give me a visor. Whatever you can get me, I'll
Get
take
him a
it.
white one. Get him a white one.
How about a white one?
I can do that. I can do that.
I want a polo shirt. I want big time. I want the polo shirt with the LeBron James, all that. Double X, send it over here. I'll send you your address. We'll get back with you. I'm gonna put you to work. That's what I do.
Charles, I'm not sending you nothing, Charles. You see what's in your life. I'm not sending you nothing. Nothing. So don't even ask.
I'm trying to fit in there. How the hell?
I wanted something that had 7-6 on it, Coach.
That wasn't funny
at all. It wasn't.
Oh, this is good. This is Dr. Cavill. Let's go to this break before we get everybody else in trouble on here. Appreciate you seriously for your time. Much respect. Continue. We look forward.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
This is Dr. Cavill with Inside HBCU Sports Lab. Hope you enjoyed the interview. We'll be right back after this quick break, and we'll get back into some of this X's and O's from the Celebration Bowl. And make sure you tell the daughter we said, hey, we appreciate her. We understand. No problem at all. We all have kids around here. So
gotta take care of baby girl.
Always.
Yeah.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
You see, Head & Shoulders has scalp shield technology, protects against flakes even between washes. It's never not working.
Kind of like us. We're never not working. Number 15?
That's my rub.
Ooh, nice.
Never not working.
Never, ever, never, ever not working.
Welcome everybody to Juneau, Alaska.
I don't like this one.
Me neither.
Let's get out of here.
Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders scalp shield technology.
Your ad could be ran here. MyJBN.com/support. MyJBN.com/support for more information.
And he picks up a first down.
And I'm going to go back to, we talked to our friends, Charles Bishop and Neely. They follow Jackson State football and having dinner with them. I mean, they said this team feels like nobody can score 3 times on them. 3 times. He didn't say if it was 3 field goals, 3 touchdowns. Prairie View has scored twice. Touchdown, field goal. That's how good this defense is. And, whoa, They are as good as advertised.
4th best in all of FCS.
It got to get to the point where whoever we're doing the broadcast that week of the game, they're going to have to sit down with y'all because y'all know us better than everybody.
Sure.
And y'all know some of the inside stuff
We do.
that I may not tell them because I don't trust them, but
Sure. Trust us.
trust
We
y'all.
appreciate that
We
trust.
appreciate that, Coach. Much love, baby.
This is Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get into these mid-major poll rankings. Last week we had our final poll. Obviously, we named Coach Wilson and the Bowie State Bulldogs as the mid-major 2021 champions. This week, the major division is frozen. And so you recall at the top of the poll, it's Jackson State sitting at 11-1, 13, all 13 first place votes with 130 points. And South Carolina State, the Bulldogs, the champions of the MEAC, are sitting in the 4th spot in terms of the ranking, 6-5, 5-0. Both teams are undefeated in terms of conference play. They have 86 points sitting in that first point. So you do have a top 5 matchup in this Celebration Bowl in terms of my poll rankings. Again, this week is frozen. So next week we get the final poll rankings and we'll see how it goes down. With that being said, I'm going to start with you, Mike. I want to go back into the matchup. We saw from more of an offensive perspective of what KJ Black talked about, but I want to focus a little more on the defensive side of the ball. Let's start with South Carolina State, and then we're going to go to Charles that can give us any and all kinds of things on the Jackson State defense. But we're going to ask him to go even deeper than he has before for all our viewers out there to really talk about what are some key things that you want to look at from the South Carolina State defense against this offensive side of the ball, Jackson State, as we head into the Celebration Bowl week.
Well, first, you want to see how that defensive line against South Carolina State poses against, that that offense that Jackson State brings. In terms of defense, what South Carolina State's allowing 353 yards per game, even though they're second in the MEAC in total defense. So how's that going to you allow? Let's just call it an even 300 yards to Jackson State. You're already in the foothold. So they're against the run. I think they're somewhere in the middle of the MEAC. So you wonder how they're going to stack up if Jackson State does decide to run. They're not as effective against the pass as well. So I wonder how those corners for South Carolina State are going to match up against that receiving core for Jackson State. Jackson State proved to be a very balanced offense, spreading the ball between run and pass. I think in the SWAC championship, they were fairly even. So how is South Carolina State going to be able to stop a balanced offense? If you look at how they performed throughout and who they played against balanced teams, they didn't fare as well because their defense seems to be one-dimensional. They're okay against the run, but not as effective against the pass. So you wonder how that secondary is going to last. Should Shedeur or the Jackson State offense move to a pass-heavy offense during the course of the game? Those are the things that at least step out at least initially for me.
Let's go even a little deeper before I switch over to Charles to ask the other side of the ball. What are your first thoughts when you think about South Carolina State's defensive line, particularly that front seven, as they like to talk about, some of those linebackers in the mix, and what you see from Jackson State on the offensive side of the ball? Can South Carolina State, in your mind, can they get any leverage? Or is this a thing where you have Jackson State is probably be able to push this team around and be able to get the running game? Do you see anything there when you look at the past matchups, whether that's FAMU and South Carolina State, obviously Alabama A&M, when you talk about that match in South Carolina State, or even just what South Carolina State was able to do against Norfolk State and North Carolina Central, the Eagles, anything that gives you an inclination of who will win that battle in terms of the trenches from your perspective? Mike?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were asking for Charles.
No, I was just following up, going a little bit deeper in it.
So no, I don't know what the weight average is. If you compare the Jackson State offensive line compared to the South Carolina State defensive line, I do know that in terms of run offense, I believe Jackson State is somewhere around, they ended up somewhere around the bottom of the SWAC. So if there's any go ahead. I'm sorry, T. However, I think there's an anomaly there. I think Jackson State can run the ball. I think in an opportunity they've chosen to pass the ball. But if there's any, I guess, kink in the armor, so to speak, can that Jackson State, which is number one in the MEAC against the run, can they force against Jackson State? Can they force them to be a one-dimensional offense? I think that's pie in the sky. I think there's a remote chance that will happen in the trenches. That's just not going to happen. So I think, however, the balance of the offense, defense. Remember, let me ask you a question. Who's number 2 in the SWAC in scoring? Jackson State. How many points are they scoring a game? 29. How many points is how many points is South Carolina State allowing opponents to score? I can tell you it's 20 plus points. So the numbers dictate that it'll be very tough and an uphill battle for South Carolina State to really stop that Jackson State offense. The other thing is efficiency in special teams. Guess who is not that efficient in special teams coverage? Even though they're good on the defense, they're good. They seem to be good on the run. I'll give you 3 guesses. No, I'll give you 2. No, I'll give you 1 guess. It's South Carolina State. What's the strength of Jackson State? It's the punt. It's that kicking game, the kick return, the punt return. So I think all of the numbers kind of dictate advantages in favor of Jackson State.
Charles, let me ask you that same thing, specifically looking at the line play first. Then we'll build on the outside going in to see what other things that you want to really tackle literally in terms of this matchup. But I asked Mike in terms of the defensive side. I'm going to ask you in terms of South Carolina State's offensive front line coming up to what most people think in HBC football is the best defensive line. Some would argue top 5 in FCS football. Can South Carolina State protect their quarterback?
Well, I think that's the $1 million question, Don. Can they protect Corey Fields? I think they have to get off their all-MEAC running back Kendra Flowers. And we've seen him have some very big games. The loss against North Carolina A&T, rushed for over 160 yards in that game. He is a tough, formidable running back who's rushed for over 800 yards for South Carolina State. So I think one of the keys, number one, is can they actually run the football? I think that's been one of the hallmarks of Jackson State's defense all season that not a lot of people have really picked up on is, number one, they stop the run and they put you in passing situations. They put you in third and distance situations. They are the best in the SWAC in terms of getting opponents off the field. Opponents only convert 27% of their third down. So I think that's huge. Can they get themselves into some third and short where they can take advantage of Kendra Flowers and try to lean on that Jackson State defensive line? We've watched all season, can teams actually be able to do it? And there's just no data showing that teams have actually been able to lean on Jackson State for a prolonged period of time to where they can wear down the defense. Again, this is a defense that has only yielded 21 points. The most that a team has ever scored on them this season has been 21 points. That was by Texas Southern. That was done in the first half. And we have to go all the way back now to the Mississippi Valley State game to where a team has actually scored even in the fourth quarter against the Jackson State defense. So it's going to be a
nice nugget. Nice nugget.
Yeah.
Nice nugget. Nice nugget. When you talk about the fourth quarter score, so you certainly have to find a way to be up, and hopefully that you can hold on. And we saw that couldn't happen on the road against Southern when Southern had a lead and just couldn't do enough to hold on it. As Jackson State scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to get that win, a big rivalry win. Sticking with you, Charles, when you talk about this, is there anything that you've seen as you watch a lot of football? I know this year you focus a little more on Jackson State, but in terms of the games that you've seen from South Carolina State, is there anything that you say, all right, this is something that really needs to be watched if you're Jackson State in terms of what they do, whether it's offense or defense? There's some items that kind of stand out to you in terms of what you see South Carolina State doing well, or something that makes you pause in terms of what they're getting done?
Shaq Davis. He stands out for me for South Carolina State. He's a big, physical wide receiver. The matchup, whomever has the assignment of Shaq Davis, they're going to have their hands full. The question that gets posed is, will Corey Fields have enough time to find him? Will he get an opportunity to get the ball out of his hands? But I think that's a big play receiver that I think if you look at some matchups, I really like him going against whomever within Jackson State secondary. But that's all contingent on can they run the football. I think you have to stick with what you do really well. And like I said, Kendall Flowers is closing in on 1,000 yards. He's rushed for over 800 yards thus far on this season. So that is going to be job one, getting the running game up and going.
Great points made by both of you. Any closing thoughts that you have before we close out on the show, Mike? And then I'll get Charles with some closing points.
Yeah, I think if you look at it, it's going to go down to, really passing efficiency. And you look at Shadour's passing efficiency, and I think he's at 68%. And then you look at Corey Fields, who's just north of 50%. It's going to look at, one of the keys, the major data points in this game are how well the quarterbacks do, how well they manage the game, how efficient are they, how good is each team on third down and third down conversions. So I think that's one of the key data points that we really have to pay attention to is the quarterback play for both teams.
Charles, any final thoughts?
This is going to be, I think, still a tough matchup. I've told all my Jackson State fans, this South Carolina State team, their pedigree. You're talking about multiple MEAC championships. They're going to be ready for a fight. Everybody has kind of talked about this Jackson State team being dominant, but I'm expecting a really good football game, and I know it's going to probably go into the late stages of the third and fourth quarter before somebody is able to distance himself from the other team. So I'm looking forward to a great game. You talk about South Carolina State defensively, they have multiple all MEAC selections. That linebacking core is comparable to Jackson State's linebacking core. When you talk about Gilchrist and BJ Jones, and like I said, South Carolina State, they are able to run the ball, and you know how I am about the MEAC and their offensive lines, especially looking at A&T and Celebration Bowl over the past few years. They're able to take over games. So that's where it all starts. Jackson State's defensive line versus South Carolina State's offensive line.
Yeah, I like those comments. Great points made by both of you all. Stick with us. We'll be back here on Thursday. We'll actually be doing this from Atlanta. We'll get in there Wednesday, so we'll get a chance to show you and tell you about some of the back of the scenes that are going on from the opening dinner that comes out on Wednesday, and then we'll tell you about some nuances, things that are going into Thursday and how things are going as people get in Atlanta, give you some insight of the festivities. So check us out on Thursday. We'll be back at it. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I'm Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. So we'll be right back at it on Thursday at 6. We'll give you a special edition on Radio Row. In terms of Friday, look for us at 10 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern time, as we give you a little more inside framework of what's going on. So stick with us. We'll give you all the type of things that you can eat and consider of what's going on in Atlanta. For you all that are riding in Friday morning, make sure you tune us in, check us out. For those that are there, get up, get you some breakfast, and turn on us as we give you some inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavill, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattaCavill. That's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Dream big and continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Mike.
Lecture.
Smith.